the seasons. You're taking the time from me.
What's up, my beautiful people? Thank you for tuning in. If you want to learn how to go from this afro on the left to these permanent micro lock extensions on the right, and yes, I did say permanent, you can keep these in forever, make sure you stay tuned and take some good notes. So here I'm just starting off with a very sped up version of me parting her hair and doing some sectioning. I will say these micro lock extensions is kind of a medium level of experience you need, or technique that you need. You need to know how to section hair, how to box braid hair with extensions, so added hair. And also you need to learn how to wrap hair. So if you've done faux locks with regular synthetic hair, you in good shape, because this is basically the same exact thing. We're just using human hair instead. So now we're going to go ahead and create her braided base, and having a braided base will allow for the hair to be tight and for it to also last for as long as she wants it to last. So basically I'm just going to take sections. I'm going to part out the sections, and I'm going to take the human hair and braid it into her hair. So you're going to see a really close-up view of what I'm doing in just a moment. Just a little background on what my customer wanted. She wanted micro lock extensions. And when I say micro, she wanted it to be as small as possible. Not it being sister locks, but as small as possible. And she wanted it to be 16 inches. So here I'm taking the smallest amount of hair that I can possibly take. And I'm going to go ahead and prepare to braid that into her real hair. So again, she wanted it to be micro. She wanted it to be 16 inches. And y'all, it took 4 days for me to complete her hair. 4 days. So I actually came up with a newer method on day 3 that cut so many hours. And so I'm going to do a part 2 of this video, basically explaining my newer method. And those are going to be called Ley Locs, because I created these locks. I'm going to have my name in it. My name is Ashley. So those locks and that method and all of that are going to be called Ley Locs, which I will be able to sell. And I will have a easier and quicker install method so that you can have extremely long extensions in a very short amount of time. But yeah, so basically it took 4 days. Me braiding all of her hair took about 5 hours. Now this part isn't needed for everyone. She has really thin hair, so I had to have additional added hair to hers. But if you have thicker hair, you can just braid your own natural hair and wrap your hair. So that's the difference too. Here is about 80% of her hair braided. I sometimes find it easier to go ahead and section and braid the hair first and then go through and wrap it. Now I only did about 80% because, like I said, this took 5 hours and I was a little tired. So the top portion of her head was not all the way completed, but let's get into this wrapping. So again, if you have experience doing faux locks where you wrap the hair over and over and over, it is the same exact thing. The only difference, these are micro and this is used with human hair. So I am taking the smallest amount of hair possible because as you can see, her hair is really, really thin. And I did not want the hair to be too heavy. I do not recommend this exact style on people with thin hair. The size and the length is heavy. But hey, I explained to her how the hair can be heavy and how, you know, doing the parts that's small can be some issues, but she wants what she wants, and I gave her what she wanted. So for her hair's health and for the size that she wanted, I tried to use the smallest amount of pieces as I could, which also probably contributed to it being 4 days for me to finish this style. Wrapping the hair is extremely easy. You just want to hold the lock taut, and I'm using that clip right there so that as I wrap around, it's not twisting her real hair and causing any pain. So you want to hold the lock really taut, and you just want to wrap really, really tight. And so as you can see, I wrap the hair until there's no strands left to wrap. And sometimes I will add hair, and then other times if I see that the lock is getting kind of thick, then I would use the hair that's already there instead of adding more hair, if that makes sense. So yeah, you just wrap and wrap and wrap, and it's very easy. It's just very tedious, very time consuming, and but yeah, just keep wrapping and you will eventually finish. I wanted to mention that this method here is one way that you can do it. I'm going to show you another way that you can also achieve this look, but the second method is a lot longer. You'll see why in a minute, which is why I created a third way called the Ley Locs that you will see in part 2 of this video. So this is method 1, where basically you're creating the length by just wrapping. So here, I want to show you how using the smallest amount of strands, those are like 4 or 5 strands of hair, is beneficial because that really helps tangle and lock in the extensions so that they don't slip. So use your piece of hair to wrap until you have literally nothing left. And those 1 to 2, 3, 4 strands will help lock and secure the actual lock extensions. So here's just a little length check. I see that it's all the same length. And now I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping up. Wrapping up with that small piece of hair will also secure it and make sure that the locks do not slip over time. These are permanent. She can keep them in for however long she wants to keep them in. And with that being said, you want to make sure they can stay. So doing those 2 methods, using small strands of hair and also wrapping up, will secure the lock. So that was method number 1. And now we're going to get into method number 2. And just to show you, this is a very flexible style. It's lightweight. You can bend it, twirl it, curl it, whatever you want immediately after install. So on to method number 2. Method number 2 has the same exact base, which is the braided base. And the difference is, instead of creating the length by wrapping, we're going to create the length by braiding until we got to 16 inches, and then we wrap. And that is why I said this method takes longer, because you have to braid and then wrap. So, you know, the benefits of braiding it down and then wrapping is it's a little bit easier to wrap because you have something to wrap around already. But yeah, this method does take forever. So as you can see, I'm just adding more extensions in, well, human hair, to create the 16 inches of locks. All right, so now that the braid is pretty much at about 16 inches, we're gonna go ahead and wrap the hair. So just like method number 1, we're just gonna wrap it all the way down. So yeah, doing method number 2 is a 2-step process that I do not recommend. I recommend the first method of just wrapping. Well, honestly, now that I have Ley Locs, I recommend you doing the Ley Loc method, but you will have to wait until the next video to see that method. But yeah, between these two, I did method number 1 throughout her whole head, and yeah, it just moved faster. So if I did method number 2, it probably would have took us a full week to complete her whole head. Just like with method number 1, I went on ahead and started wrapping back up to secure it. And we're going to take a really close look at the comparison between the two. And you honestly can't see too much of a difference. Method number 1 got a little bit more crinkle and curl because it's wrapped on its own. Method number 2 is a lot straighter because we had a base already. Method number 2 is also bigger. So I ended up taking method number 2 out because it's bigger, it's heavier because it has more hair used for that braided base. So this is what the hair looked like after day 2. This is how much I got done after day 2. So it took 4 days. But yeah, we ended up finishing, and this is how the finished product looks. I absolutely love these locks. My customer loved them. And those 4 days were rough, but it really is a beautiful product. So stay tuned to part 2 for the Ley Locs, which is going to cut this time by 1/3. Peace.
Give me a reason, and I'll pretend I'm in control, just like the seasons. You're taking the time from me, boy.